I think we all know LARPing is a little bit weird, right? Like renting a Ferrari and giving business advice online, or like getting a PhD in PE class and calling yourself a doctor. Now, the problem many of you will have is that you're LARPing as an athlete and you don't really know it. You're doing all the things you think you should be doing, you're arriving to the gym, you're doing all the athlete things, but not really getting athlete results. Today, we're gonna talk about what it really means to be an athlete. The things you have to do, the way you have to organize your life, and the values you should really have if you want to be getting those athletic style results. Because at the end of the day, being an athlete is about a hell of a lot more than just that hour you spend in the gym, and it's more than just what you can buy on an online store. So you've got all the props, right? The €200 lifting shoes, you've got a belt strong enough to support a dying dictatorship, and some stimulants strong enough to kill your grandmother, but these are all just props. They're pretend things that aren't really going to make a difference to your training. Today, I'm going to show you what it really means to be an athlete. What to do, when to do it, and most importantly, what not to do, and what to majorly avoid in your training. Today, we're going to start from the very beginning, what it actually takes to prepare for a good training session, day in, day out, week on week, but I don't want this to become some sort of weird ritual. You should not be sitting on the toilet for 45 minutes watching old YouTube videos of your favorite lifters before you feel ready to train. No, what I'm really talking about here is a structured routine, how your week should run, what days you have to do certain tasks, and making sure you show up to every session with what you actually need and in the shape you need to be in. In the most simple example of this, if you own 2 jiu-jitsu gis and you want to go training twice per week, then you'll have to wash your gis once per week. If you then want to go to 4 sessions per week, then you need to pick Sundays and Wednesdays as your laundry day and make sure all your gear and equipment is ready to go. Good routines are obviously about a hell of a lot more than just having your equipment and your clothes ready to go. It's about stress management, it's about understanding your work cycles when work might be very busy and work isn't quite so busy. It's about having your food in order, your hydration in a good place, and of course sleep and rest being at their optimal points. Now, sleep is pretty difficult to optimize. I understand that it's not something you're going to get perfect every night, but you should be looking to optimize your sleep as much as possible if you want to train hard. I think we're all looking for solutions at the moment. Solutions to problems that routine might in fact be solving. You might be eating piles of these protein bars, low-cal foods, health-style foods. Maybe you're tired and you're looking at a lot of stimulants and energy drinks. But in many cases, better routines with better structures around your training will take the place of these low-cal, high-protein foods or the need for stimulants just to get enough energy to train. One of the most important parts of the routine puzzle is your time allocation. Many people misattribute the amount of time it takes to do their necessary tasks, and because of that, they don't get them done, or they end up chasing themselves around the day, and it increases their overall stress levels. Many times this forces us to drop out of an activity or not get certain tasks done in the amount of time we need to do them in. I'm talking about the amount of time it takes to get the appropriate amount of sleep. Let's say you know for a fact you need 7 hours or 8 hours of sleep. For many of us, that might mean 9 or 10 hours of actual bedtime. Also, you can think about training sessions in a very similar way. Many of us think the 1.5 hours it takes to train or get our session done in the gym is how long I'll be gone from home for. But you're not factoring in things like your commute to the gym, or if there's added traffic on the way to get there. You're probably not thinking about the amount of time you spend in the changing rooms or on your phone before you actually start training. Then once you start training, if you have added mobility needs or added warm-up needs that take that extra 15 minutes away from training, or that take it away from the rest of your day. The unfortunate thing about this though is that to figure out these timings and the amount of time it takes for you to do these different tasks, you just have to do it. It's a system of trial and error. You can no longer be LARPing, you can no longer not think about your training. If you want to get the level of results that actual athletes get, you have to figure this out for yourself. It might take 3 weeks, it might take 3 months, 6 months or 9 months to figure it out, but you have to figure it out on your own. The unfortunate thing about much of this is that although you can figure out your timings for what the session takes in the gym, for the amount of sleep you need, for the amount of time you need to spend doing mobility or getting the optimal warm-up done, there are many things that we will just not be able to control. These will be things that pop up in your life, they'll be social or family obligations, and unfortunately, as a normal human being, you're just going to have to roll with the punches here and actually spend your time doing those things. Athletes, however, will not make this sacrifice. They will live in smaller houses lives in worse neighborhoods, closer to areas you mightn't necessarily want to live, just so they can get to training a bit earlier. They've probably not seen any of their family members' birthday parties in a long time unless they're in the off season, and they generally just make sacrifices in their lives that most of us would consider to be lunacy. I'm not necessarily saying that you need to do this to be a better person in training recreationally in the gym, maybe to get in better shape, to be a little bit stronger or faster on the track, but you have to understand that when we see professional athletes or very high level amateur athletes getting insane results, that they are sacrificing things you'd never even consider sacrificing. Now, I want to make this very, very clear, and I'm only going to say it one time. You do not need to become some sort of hermit recluse training on your own in a gym and stop going to your nieces and nephews' birthday parties just because you want to make your press a small bit heavier or you want to be in slightly better shape for your summer holidays. You do, however, just need to understand that certain times we need to make certain sacrifices, and you won't always have things going your way perfectly unless you do that. The next thing you should look at if you want to train like an athlete and get those pro athlete results is having better work capacity. A lot of you watching this are probably field sports athletes, and you think you get enough of that fitness training in from your on-field or sport-specific conditioning, but just doing some extra interval sessions on the ergs will make a huge difference to your overall sporting performance. If you're a CrossFitter or a high roxer, it's very likely you're smashing too many wads, doing too many of those real high intensity interval sessions, and not doing the basic monostructural work. Now, monostructural work is very, very important for changing those physiological values we associate with long distance and better overall capacity. So even though you're going to be doing a workout that might last 20 minutes or less, you need to think about stringing multiple workouts together over the course of the day, and the monostructural work will really help us to get there. And weightlifters and powerlifters, I'm not even going to talk to you. You just need to do more conditioning, whatever type of conditioning you prefer. It will make a massive difference to your strength training. In pretty much every athlete group we deal with, work capacity is an underlying issue. Even weightlifters, if you need better technique, many of you will start prescribing a lot of variations, maybe a lot of complexes that are there to fix those specific technical issues you're having. But you know what makes the biggest difference to technical prowess? That is the amount of high quality reps you do. And you know what makes the biggest difference to being able to do more high quality reps? That is being in better shape. So rather than 5 reps putting you out of breath, you can now do 10, 15 or 20 sets of perfect reps, whether that be snatch, clean and jerk, front squat or back squat. It doesn't matter. If you're in slightly better shape, you're going to be able to do far more of those high quality reps, and it won't take as much out of you. This also exists in the bodybuilding and aesthetics community as well. So I think most of us agree now, or most of the sensible people agree, that getting as much volume in at the appropriate intensity band is one of the most important things to gain muscle mass. You're going to be stressing that muscle is going to grow. Why do you think many of you don't hit the appropriate amount of sets and reps on your accessories? Well, certainly there is some people who get a bit mixed up in their programming. They might program too many sets, too many reps, or at too high a weight. But for most of you, you're not finishing your accessories because it takes too long, and it's taking too long because you're not quite fit enough to get there. You might have to rest for 3, 4, or 5 minutes in between your sets of curls and rows, when in most cases you should be taking 60 to 90 seconds and plowing through that last third of a session. Pretty much every time we get an athlete, whether it be a rugby player, soccer player, hurler, or footballer, people are unbelievably impressed by how much of an advantage they gain in their off season. They'll see the amount of work they do, they'll see their starting weights and ending weights, and wonder how they're getting those results so quickly. And I'll be honest with you, it's because most of them have better work capacity than the general gym goer does. The final thing then that you need to do if you want to train like an athlete is to just change your mindset slightly. Many of us waste far too much time being absolutely neurotic about the minutiae of the details in your training. The brand of your weightlifting shoes, how tightly you tie the laces, and what way or what order you put the straps on when you're putting them on a barbell doesn't make a bit of difference to your training. Most people we see in amateur weightlifting and powerlifting settings are being far too neurotic about their training. They're worrying about the wrong things and wasting a massive amount of time in their sessions. I know you might think you're doing the right thing by super analyzing every video of every lift you're doing in the gym, but we have massive amounts of time wasted in every single session, and it just leads to people not being as consistent or not getting the results they should. Let's take back squats for an example. If you're doing 5 sets of 3 on the back squat and you analyze each of those, taking 2 minutes or more to look at the videos of you squatting for every set, and maybe even your last 2 warm-up sets, you're wasting 15 or so minutes of every single training session. And I know you're going to say that, oh, I was sitting down and resting and getting my breath back before the next set. But in every study we've seen where people are looking at their phone or even observing other athletes lifting, they tend to rest for significantly longer than athletes who are just self-selecting rest with no other distractions around them. Also, this study right here found that athletes who had access to their phone during training sessions, if only even during the rest periods, got significantly less training volume done and had worse results overall in resistance training. Even the most brief of distractions will make a massive difference to how efficiently you go through your training journey. And if you're going to be doing this 2, 3, or 4 times per week, you need to be looking for those efficiencies. We shouldn't be looking to spend as much time as possible in the gym. Let's say it's 10 extra minutes per 4 sessions per week. Let's say you train for 45 weeks of the year because you take 7 weeks of deload or something along those lines. You're up to 1,800 minutes of wasted gym time. That's 2 extra 20-minute sessions per week. That's 90 20-minute sessions over the course of the year. 90 sessions. You're literally talking about getting 2 extra 20-minute blocks in per week for every single training week of your year. Imagine what you would do if you wanted to get strict handstands, if you wanted to get strict bar muscle ups, if you wanted to get an extra 50 kilos in your squat. 20 minutes twice per week is probably enough to get there. Like, this is a monumental amount of time you're wasting by looking at videos of yourself lifting. You know what good technique is, you know the cues you need to be using. Don't be wasting your time in the sessions reviewing them. So look, let's be honest, if you want to get stronger, faster, be more jacked, be a better athlete overall, let's lower the neuroticism levels slightly. The last thing I'm going to say on this is I understand that you want to gain a level of understanding. I enjoy the fact that people like being so nerdy about training, but you can be the Karate Kid or you can be Mr. Miyagi. You cannot be both at the same time. It's perfectly fine if you want to go and learn how to be a coach. It's perfectly okay if you want to experiment on yourself, but don't be expecting to get the same levels of people who are just training for the sake of training. I hope this video has been informative for you. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. Is your back not quite as strong as you want it to be, or maybe as it used to be? Well, then check out the anti-glass back program on the Seeker Strength app. This is a big training program to give your posterior chain the best step up it's ever gotten in its entire life. This is stiff-legged deadlifts, bent over rows, all the things you need to make your back, your hamstrings, and your glutes as strong as they've ever been in your entire life. It's 3 sessions per week for 12 weeks. Please try it out. You can check it out for free right now on the Seeker Strength app, available on iOS and Android. Check out the link below for 30% off, and you'll get a 7-day free trial to see what it looks like.